Hello everyone and welcome to my first vlog. In this video I'm going to be talking about a recent salvaged wood haul and showing you some footage from that. I'll be covering my upcoming videos and what I'm working on at the moment. I'll also talk about the new camera equipment that I use to make these videos. And I'll talk about the ongoing debate that's going on in my mind about whether I should buy a Festool Domino joining machine or not. I've also added the time for each section of the video so that if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can skip to the part that you're interested in. And those will be in the description box below as well as on screen now. First up, my recent salvaged wood haul. A few weeks ago I noticed a large pile of wood forming outside a church near my home, and I got talking to one of the builders there about whether that was available or not, and he gave me the name of his boss and said to pop back and see him sometime. So I took the opportunity to walk past this church as much as possible, hoping to bump into this guy, but I didn't have any luck, mainly because I work a day job and he was only on site during the day. And this pile of wood was getting more and more wet in the rain, so I ended up looking up the guy's name on Facebook and sending him a message. And he kindly got back to me, so we arranged a time to meet one lunchtime. When I got there, he let me into the building site and said that I was welcome to have a rummage and take away anything I wanted. So as I was going through this pile of damp wood, mainly 4x2s that were full of nails, I was pulling out these massive chunks of oak and mahogany. So I ended up filling up my car with that. I also took my cordless circular saw with me just so that I could cut down any large pieces to fit them inside my small car. So I took it all home, and then that weekend I could start sorting through all of the material. I used my crowbar to remove lots of the trim pieces, and there were lots of old nails to pull out. I also used some magnets just to check that I'd removed all of the nails from each piece. There were a few window and door frames in amongst the pieces I had too, so there were some remnants of glass and window putty. I also used my circular saw just to cut off any pieces with nails or screws in that I couldn't remove. I also used a moisture meter to check how much moisture was in the wood. This is a device that I got from a company called TackLife, and they sent it to me free to try out in a video, and I've been meaning to try it out for ages, but this was the first opportunity. The device was showing readings of around 13% moisture content in the wood. This device seems to work well, and I can't really say too much about it because obviously I've only used it once, but I think it'll be useful to have in future. I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link in the description box below this video in case you want to check it out for yourself. So next I started processing all of the wood, ripping clean edges on the table saw and cutting clean ends on the miter saw. This processing of all of the wood took about half a day, and I'd already spent a good 2 or 3 hours denailing all of the wood and pulling off trim pieces, so it was quite time consuming, but when you consider the cost of oak and especially mahogany here in the UK, it was time well spent, and I'm really happy to have all of this new wood to work with. So because the moisture content reading was at around 13%, I knew that this wood wasn't yet dry enough to use in a project. So I started to unload my timber rack so that I could put all of this new wood up there to dry out. I used some small pieces of plywood in between each board to create a gap and help the airflow around them, and that will help with the drying process. I put all of the oak on one shelf and all of the mahogany on the next, and it was quite a challenge to find space for all of the wood that I have currently in the workshop. So some of the older stuff that I had up on the rack originally is now in my unofficial wood storage area behind the sofa in my living room. This wood has now been in the workshop for 2 weeks, and I thought it'd be worth taking another moisture reading just to see how it's drying out. 8%, 7%, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 8. So those readings were around 8%, and I think I read online that ideally you want the wood to be between 6 to 8% moisture content before using it in an internal project. So this wood is ready to use. Next I'll talk about the videos that are coming soon to my channel and what I'm working on currently. I've got a few videos finished already and they will be published in the coming weeks, and at the moment I'm predominantly concentrating on making things to sell on my new Etsy store. There'll be a video about a round coffee table that I've made with a tabletop made of laminated strips of plywood, and the legs of that table are made from dowels and they're tapered as well, and I'll show you how I do that in the video. Obviously I don't have a lathe, so it was done predominantly with hand tools. Really pleased with how that one turned out. It's got a minimal design to it and a kind of mid-century feel to it as well. And that table is up for sale on my Etsy store now. There'll be a rustic pine dovetailed bench seat which I made out of an old pine dining tabletop that was donated to me, and the pine dining tabletop had some woodworm damage, so I had to kind of deal with that. There'll also be a video about some coat racks that I made from some pallet wood, and I tried kind of a distressed paint effect on one or two of them, and that came out pretty well. And the coat racks are for sale on my Etsy store too. And something a little bit different, there'll also be a video about me and my girlfriend making a wedding gift for our friends. The format of that video is going to be quite different to my usual videos, as it's more focused on my girlfriend's first experience doing woodwork and using power tools. We filmed that way back in June, but it's taken me a long time to edit it to a point where I'm fairly happy with it, because I started editing it as I would a normal build video, but it was just not really working. So I ended up re-editing it a couple of times, I think, and now it's about half an hour long, so it's quite a long video, and I'm expecting some mixed feedback on it, to be honest. As for what I'm working on right now, I've got loads going on. I'm about to start a commission for one of my YouTube viewers who got in touch asking for a desk tidy with a drawer that will hold some ink bottles and pens. At the moment I'm just working on the drawings for it, and I've sent some visuals through to the client and he seems pretty happy with it, so I'll hopefully be starting on that project this weekend. I might also have another commission in the pipeline, which would be making a desk for a studio environment for my local radio station. I haven't yet priced it, so I'm not sure whether that's going to happen or not, but fingers crossed. The biggest challenge with that one is that they want something finished by the end of this month, and as I only have weekends and evenings to work on it, I'm a bit worried about committing to having it finished on time. And what I'm working on right now is more of the hexagon cat houses, and this is a project that I've not bothered filming this time around because obviously I've already put up a similar video, but these ones will be a bit different. I'm planning to add some padding and upholstering the top so that it becomes more of like an occasional stool and somewhere else for the cat to sleep, and those are also being made to sell on my Etsy store. So I'm really busy, but I'm trying to make a conscious effort to say yes to more things than I would ordinarily, because it feels like that's what I would need to do in order to make this into a business. And in the past I've turned down commissions because of how busy I am in my day job, but I just feel like I don't really want to let my day job get in the way of it anymore. So I'm just going to work really hard and try to do as much as possible. So you'll probably notice me looking more and more exhausted and haggard over the coming months, but hopefully it will be worthwhile in the long run. Next I'm going to talk about some recent changes to the equipment that I use to film my videos. This here is my old video camera, the Panasonic HC V210. Now this thing filmed practically all of my videos on this channel over a 3-year period, and I only paid £85 for it. It was second hand. This thing has really seen some abuse. It's fallen to the floor so many times. It was always covered in sawdust and glue residue, and once I even closed my car door on the camera itself, and it coped with all that and more, and I was really happy with it for what I paid. But there was a small plastic spring-loaded switch here that held the battery in place, and this broke off, which meant that the battery no longer stays in the body and it keeps dropping out. So I carried on using this for a while just by using some tape to hold the battery in the camera, but I figured I'd got more than enough use out of this, so I started to look at upgrades. I wanted to get another Panasonic for two reasons. Firstly, the old camera had been such a workhorse and seemed to be built like a tank, and secondly, because the new Panasonic cameras take the same batteries as the old ones, I could reuse the 3 batteries that I already had for my old camera on the new one. So I settled on the camera that I'm filming on now, which is the Panasonic HC V770. This was around £400 here in the UK, and I chose this because it had some new features that I was keen to try out. This one has an external microphone socket, so I also bought this Rode Video Micro microphone to improve the audio quality on my videos. It also has an LED light which turns on automatically when the light level is too low. It has a built-in time-lapse feature which works really well. It also has 5.1 surround sound, which is a feature that I probably won't be using. In terms of image quality, I've only really noticed a slight improvement when compared with the footage from my old camera. The contrast is definitely more punchy, which means that I don't have to compensate so much at the editing stage, and it also responds better to high dynamic range shots. The resolution on the new camera is 1080, which is the same as the old camera. I just don't see the point of upgrading to 4K at the moment. If I did more cropping of the frame at the video editing stage, then it probably would have been a worthwhile upgrade, but I tend to just use the zoom function on the camera and frame the shots as best I can while I'm filming. So I filmed about 2 or 3 videos on this new camera when all of a sudden, for some reason, it wouldn't accept the signal from the external video mic. So I ended up having to send it back to the Panasonic engineers, and it took about 2 weeks for them to fix it and return it to me. So during that time I had to go back to using my old camera with the piece of tape holding the battery in place. Anyway, the camera is back with me now and all of the features are working as they should, so all of my future videos should be filmed on this camera unless I have any more issues. I'm really happy with the Rode Video Micro Compact. The sound from it is definitely better than the inbuilt microphones on the camera, and it was inexpensive at around £50, and it mounts to the camera via a hot shoe adapter. I'll include links to both my new camera and my new microphone in the description box below if you want to check them out. Tool talk. Recently I've been on the lookout for a new respirator mask. This is the current one that I use and I just find it quite uncomfortable. I'm currently waiting for a new one to arrive, and that's called an RZ mask, which you may know as an RZ mask. And the company that makes them are actually sending me one for free to try out in a video, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that one works out. I haven't bought any new tools recently, but there are a few things that I'm considering investing in. Makita have just launched their 18-volt cordless version of their trim router, and I've already got the corded version, which I really like, but I really like having the convenience of having cordless tools. Plus I already have a few Makita batteries, so I'm considering selling my corded version and buying the cordless version, but that's not really a must-have, so I'm pondering on it at the moment. I've also been looking at other table saw models. Now I really like my DeWalt table saw. It's basically perfect for my needs apart from one thing, and that's how loud it is. And I just worry about my neighbours having to put up with me using it. I'd really like something with a quiet induction motor, but all of the saws that I've looked at with induction motors tend to be cabinet saws, and I just don't think I can squeeze one into my small workshop. The ones I've been looking at and considering are the W629 and the W650 by Charnwood, and they also have a sliding table, which I think would be really good, but it's just the size that's holding me back. If anyone knows of any other good quality, smallish table saws with an induction motor, please let me know in the comments and I'll check it out. I've also been considering at some point in the future the possibility of buying a Festool Domino jointing machine, probably the smaller model that they make rather than the bigger one. I've just got mixed feelings about them though. On the downside, I think that they are ridiculously overpriced, which puts me off. I also worry that it might put off some of my YouTube viewers, because I get a lot of comments saying that they enjoy seeing me work with inexpensive tools and using simple joinery methods. But on the upside, I can see how the cost of the machine can be justified in an environment where somebody's doing joinery all day every day. The machine would soon pay for itself. And I do want to be making more things like coffee tables, which this machine would just work really well for in terms of speeding up the joinery. And if I can speed up the process of making a table, that means I can then charge less for the table and hopefully achieve more sales. At least that's the thought process that I'm working through at the moment. Also, I recently sold the drill that AEG sent to me to review in a video, and I wanted to reinvest the money from that drill into a tool that I actually need and will use, and the Festool Domino might be it. One thing is for sure though, I don't want to be paying full price for one of those machines, so I'm just going to keep my eye out. I'm in no hurry to buy one, so if I see a good deal, I may well buy one. That's it for this one, and as this is my first vlog video, please feel free to leave a comment below letting me know what you think of this format, and that may shape the future vlog videos. Also, if you've got any questions that you would like me to answer in the next vlog video, also leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching.